Today I'm having the West Tampa Red. West Tampa Tobacco Company, the Red. Great cigar. Turns out to be a nice day after all. Today it was raining. I went to the gym early this morning. When I say early, I went like around 9:30. Yo, Sean, what's happening? And it was still cold out. It was like 55. It's about 70 right now, which is great. Hey, Jan, happy birthday, my friend. Happy birthday. Nice. I'll be having a Cohiba in probably 2 months. I played a wedding rehearsal dinner on Thursday down the Cape, and I got there early because I had no idea. Number one, how long it was going to take to set up, what kind of, I didn't know anything about it really, and sometimes it can take you over 2 hours to get there. It was only an hour and a half, so I had extra time. So I smoked a cigar, and as I'm smoking, the guy who's throwing the party comes up to me. He pulled up and he's like, I'm having cigar rollers here today. So it was pretty cool. They were rolling cigars at this gig. They weren't great, but reminds you of the firm. Well, the whole thing with the triplets, it's very Jimmy Page. But the thing that made me come up with it was when I was young and I was working on a lot of Warren DeMartini's stuff. He always played over that dominant seven chord, and I was like, well, it'd be cool if I could run a triplet to make that arpeggio. And I got to play it for Warren, and he was just like, I don't know what that is, and didn't. It was a pretty funny conversation. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I always loved that song as a kid. When I come home from work, I'm gonna wrap my. I love that tune. To me, that's like so much of the. Oh, and then the outside lick that I do on it is just like it's just applying the double diminished arpeggios over there. Triad pairs are, yeah. Well, people don't realize if you find a pair of triads and you're going to use them and arpeggiate them, you've got 6 out of the 7 notes in the scale. In that A7 lick, I was using triad pairs, but I'm alternating them because it's really based on the diminished 7 chord. So if you just move it up, if you take like an E diminished triad and then play a C sharp diminished triad, you're going to add that extra note in there and basically all together. It's basically you're compiling two diminished 7 chords on top of one another, hence the name double diminished. But they're fun to play, and it gives you a great outside sound, and really, I don't know, I like that sound a lot. You could also use two diminished triads from the altered scale, which the melodic minor, which you would have the 6 and 7. So if I was playing I would be playing a B flat melodic minor scale. But the problem with that is then you run into the sharp 5, where you stay with the double diminished. You have the natural 6. and against an A7 chord, it works better. I mean, if I was playing an A7 shell chord in the background, if the guy was playing an A7 shell chord, then I could have used the altered. But because he's playing the five, yeah, it's all about the landing totally. But because the track had the five in the chord, I didn't want to I didn't want to use the altered scale because the sharp five over the five just doesn't have that same feel as the 13 with a six. So that's why I like, especially if you're playing with blues guys. If you're playing with jazz guys, they usually will play the shell voicing, which is just the 1 3 and the flat seven. But if you're playing with blues guys, they're always going to be nailing on that five. So I'm like, so there it's I prefer to play. If I'm playing around blues guys, I'll use the double diminished more. It's safer and it's sexy. Everybody come on up to my square. It's safe and it's sexy. Yeah, and I don't really use it a lot in my playing so much. I use it more in my teaching, and just because like the stuff I'm playing these days is more straight rock. There are some times when we'll play like Sarah Smile. We do the extended ending where I'm just soloing over the end, and over then, I will start doing some of the fun stuff there just because it makes Jimmy and Kenny laugh because it's just so out there, and we have a good time with it. But the people in the crowd, they have no idea what's going on. They're looking at me like, am I hitting every bad note on purpose? Yes. No such thing as bad notes. Just tension, just tensions. But I've been teaching more. And so that kind of keeps me on my toes. Because I've been teaching more, it makes me go to shoot the little shorts because I'm like, well, we did this. Maybe I'll talk about this a little bit on my channel. Just depending on what we went over. Yacht Rock Guitar School. Oh yeah, it's great stuff. Today I was working out Human Nature by Michael Jackson. That we're going to probably play with AM Station, and I just had to work out that keyboard, that yeah, that whole syncopated thing, which I figured out today. So that's tricky because just the way it's like that syncopated but lands on a swing beat, it's interesting. Yeah, it's a fun one. And then when we do it acoustically, it's like I like if the chords are just triads, I tried to add some color to it, like add nines to certain chords. On the record, it seems interesting. It seems like there's an add nine against the 4 chord, and then a 5 chord, it seems like there's an add 11. Greg Howe played on what tune? I think Human Nature was that was Lukather playing guitar on that. Or I think there's only one. I can only hear one guitar. What did Greg Howe do on it? I know the main guitar part is Luke doing tick 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 tick, that whole. I know that's Luke. Oh, live. How's that Cohiba treating you? Looking out. Okay. It's beautiful out today. What else was I playing? Hey, Dave, still getting your Guitar World magazine? I do. Thank you so much. Yes. Yeah, the one that came just the other day was the, trying to think who's on the cover. There's two people on the cover. Hey, Jan, have a great night, great day. Um, yeah, that's it. It's Getty and Alex on the cover. Yeah. Getty's got that green base, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, in fact, I read the interview today in that magazine. Andy Scott from Sweet just talking. So, anytime if you ever have to do like a fast run and you gotta, you're flying up the neck and then you gotta grab a string, it's always like, for me, I'll get it 70% of the time. And I'm like, and then other ways it'll take a piece of my finger and I won't get it the way I want it. Even though I get it, but I don't get it the way I want it. So I was like, geez, if I could just get these top ones scalloped and and then I looked up to see if anyone else did it, and I was like, and of course they show the Billy Sheehan bass, and I'm like, I'm gonna have my guy do it. So I reached out to my guy, and I said, listen, this is what I want. Can you do it for me? He goes, yeah, bring it by. So I did. He did it on like I think I have four guitars with it like that. But boy, it's a world of difference. Like it's 100% of the time. You're running up the neck and you go to grab it. Hey, Frank Ortega, how are you? When you go to grab it, it's there every time. And again, it's only like the top two strings, a little bit into the third string. So you don't really notice it. In fact, when I hand my guitar to people to play if they want to try my guitar, I won't say anything. And I see them going up and they bend and they're like, oh, this plays real. I go, you didn't notice that it was scalloped up there. And they look and they're like, oh no. And then they start to grab it and they're like, I just noticed that it was so easy. I was like, yeah. So I like it like that. Like I said, I got like four guitars that have that scalloping that way. When I was 18 or 19, I had a guitar scalloped, all the way, the whole thing like Ingves. And I didn't love it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. In fact, I think what Vi does, like the 12th fret up, that to me makes more sense. But even then, like I don't need it around the 15th fret, between the 12th and the 15th fret on the low strings. On the high strings, anything past the 15, I think is good. So that's the history of it, was just out of me wanting to try it. Yeah. Yeah, like I say, I love it. I love it. It just depends when you get up high and you're playing, especially like What's that Journey song? Don't Stop Believing, when you got to do those bends, the ba, ba, and then you got to bend that ba. You're bending like the, it's just, you really, when you're playing it and you got to go up fast, it's just, am I going to grab it? Am I going to get it? Once I had the scallop, it's like, I could do it in my sleep. You never have to worry about it. Your finger just always gets that string. We played that, so we don't really play that song, Don't Stop Believing, but somebody asked for it at the wedding, that the rehearsal dinner we played. And so I ended up thinking about it. I'm like, there's no way I'm playing the solo, but I could play it an octave. So I did the solo an octave lower. It worked out great on acoustic. I thought it was great. But I did the whole, all in like first position. It's good. Once again, I'm having the West Tampa Red. Oh, so last week I was watching this guy. He was smoking a pipe and talking about his favorite pipe tobacco for the year. Within like the first 30 seconds, you can hear he's got like a little kid around him, like that's playing. But it sounds like the kid is like screaming in the mic, but you don't see him anywhere near the guy. But I saw him like laughing, going, man, this guy must be like mortified that he's making this video and this kid is so loud. 2 minutes in, the neighbor's lawnmower starts up, and it's the loudest thing I've ever heard. I had tears streaming down my face. I'm crying, laughing, going, this video couldn't have turned out any worse for this guy. Plus, he had an intro to the video, so I'm like, he edited the video. He didn't see how absurd this video was. I was crying. I said it to my brother. I'm like, 2 minutes in, I can't even see the screen. My eyes are like so wet, watering. Just couldn't, I was crying. I mean, literally, it sounded like he had a remote mic right up to to the blades of the mower. It was gold. I couldn't figure it out. I was like, how did he get, like, he put an intro onto it and stuff and graphics. I'm like, how did this pass his muster in the editing when that lawnmower kicked in that I wasn't going to laugh my ass off? I mean, it is so loud. Oh my God. I felt so bad for the guy, but I'm like, you know what? This video made my day. It was great. And then he's like maybe 2.5 minutes in, thing's been running for 30 seconds already. You can't hear a word he's saying. And he's like, my neighbor's over there doing his lawn. Oh, you think so? You sure he's not mowing your microphone? I was trying to figure out too how he would have it so loud. It looked like he had in Bluetooth, headset that probably is the mic included, where it picks up things. But I mean, it was like, I'm like, just keep that on your porch. You'll be able to pick up your neighbor's conversations. In fact, I'm convinced you couldn't get a one directional mic, like one of those where you're trying to listen and pick up the lawnmower any louder than that video already had it. It was great. Adbay. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. They're expensive. I'm trying to remember if I tried one. They sell them up at I don't think I have. I remember seeing them when they first came out. They were at Two Guys Smoke Shop up in New Hampshire, and I remember seeing them there. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you need to go crazy pricey to get a great cigar. And some of these companies, the prices are just ridiculous. I remember a buddy of mine talked me into buying a God of Fire from Arturo Fuente, and I'm not a Fuente fan, but he was like, you gotta," and so I smoked it. It was a very good cigar. Was it worth the $25 or $30 it cost? No. I'd rather smoke this. This is my third cigar of the day anyway. So this morning after I went to the gym, I came home, went back to sleep for an hour. Then I had my coffee and I had a Southern Draw Manzanita, which I think is a great cigar. Cheap and great. Southern Draw Manzanita. And then I had a Diesel Vintage Natural. Then I ate, and I just had 6 eggs, bacon, and a filet. I bought these fillets at BJ's, 4 fillets. It might have been like $30, which I thought was really cheap, but they looked great. The steak I had yesterday and the steak I made today are the 2 best steaks I've ever had that I made myself. I mean, they were of the quality of like a real, like a Capital Grille kind of filet. It was unbelievable. I'm like, what the hell? I'm going to be eating them all the time now because I could not get over how good it was. So BJ's for the win with that one. I don't know where you're at if you guys have BJ's, but it's kind of like a Costco. It's like a mini Costco. If I have to just get a few things, I'll go to BJ's because Costco is too much of a schlep to get inside, get in line. BJ's I can get in and out in 5 minutes. Seasoning, I just use salt. Now, normally on a steak, if it's not that good of a cut, I'll use white pepper or black pepper, depending on my mood, with salt. But on a filet, yeah,
Watching TV and everything is fine, and all of a sudden the thing on my table goes off.
that's Nancy's thing. I told you not to pay attention to it. I mean, she has a package coming today.
No, it's singing and talking, and the thing went off.
I'll go look. I'm coming.
Keeps getting, I can't even hear the TV, that's how loud this damn thing is.
You can't just say, Alexa, stop. That's too much for you? All right, I am back. What I miss? Anything? No. Yeah, well, she's losing it a little bit. Maybe more than a little bit. My sister got her an Alexa that she can drop in on, so, because my mom can't figure out now how to use a phone. So my sister can just drop in. So it's like from my sister's account, where my sister lives like, 5 miles up the road, so she can just drop in on my mom. And for some reason, the Alexa just started playing music. And probably something my sister did by mistake, but my mother panics. So I don't know what the hell's going on. She will constantly, and these Alexas, they got the visual thing on it, so it basically just shows a clock. And my mom will ask me all the time, what time is it? I said, what time does the clock say? Well, she'll say, well, that clock's wrong. Like, oh, is it? What time does it say? Yeah, no, that's the time. She's like, no. I'm like, that's the time. Like, you're not believing the clock, so you're gonna ask me? But it's hard. It's not easy, that's for sure. Today I had to change the remote for her. Well, I had to go into the TV settings to stop asking, because the TV, if you're not touching it for hours, it will say, are you still there? And she doesn't know how to use the remote anymore. So she's like, will just start screaming for me because the it'll shut off on her. So I finally found where Verizon has that hidden where you can shut that off. So now the TV will just stay on. Thank Christ. Anywho, I'm so glad it got nice out. What else is up? Any questions for me about anything? I put up a video today showing off my guitar, my yellow Strat that I play 99% of the time when I play electric. The only other electric I really play a lot is my G&L, and that's because I keep it in my bedroom and I never plug it in. The Strat I always plug in because I teach in that room. And my amps are there. But in my bedroom, I'll just sit and watch TV and just noodle about. Something I was trying to play the other day or was working on. What the hell was it? Can't remember. I'll tell you the cool thing about the double diminished scale when you're playing it or applying it is you can move it up and down the neck. It's every 3 frets. You're just starting from a different position. It's just, but it just repeats. It's what do they call that? I forget what you call that, but when it repeats up and down the neck. I was given a lesson last week, and we were playing both a D minor with a natural B, the Dorian minor, the 2 minor. And we're playing back and forth. We go back and forth, and then I comment on what they're doing and stuff. And he was like, how the hell did you get from this part of the neck to up there? And I'm like, I just ran up an A minor. It's easier to play an A minor. So It's the Kia C, which is the same. So that was cool because I saw that I kind of broke through a little bit with them on that to see the scale as, you know, if you got a D minor with a natural B, you have no sharps and flats. So if you want to run up the neck, if you're comfortable running up in C major, A minor, whatever, you can just get from here to there. It's the same 7 notes, doesn't matter. What else? What else? You hear all the animal sounds going on, the sounds like frogs, crickets, whatever the hell it is, just birds. At night, it's unbearably loud. Hey, thanks, Southern Cross. Happy Memorial Day to you, too. What else is going on? Anybody? Any questions? Any questions while I'm here and you have me? Octave guitar? No, I'm familiar with Eastwood. Eastwood makes the Earline series guitars, right? They're Canadian. I don't know what the octave guitar is. I see that Fender came out with the Vintera Bass 6. That looks interesting. I'll wait a year and buy it used off someone. I love the Bass 6. Yeah, but I don't know what an octave guitar is. What? Is that what it is? It's a baritone. That's an octave. That's a E to E. Maybe. I'm guessing. Taking a crack at it. Oh. So I don't care for USA Fenders. Forget about made in Mexico. I mean, the thing about Strats and Tellys for me is I feel like the necks are always too thin. They're C's. I mean, at the end of the day, if someone said for $1,000 or $1,500 they got a custom shop 57 with that 1056 necks on it, I would be like, that's a good deal. But when you're paying like $3,000 for one, to me that custom shop 56 is just not worth it. I built my Warmoth for like, I want to say with a case included, it was like 1,400, and this was maybe 10 years ago. So today you could probably build it for under $2,000, and it's a better guitar. Stainless steel frets, you're gonna get all the amenities you want and get everything you want. I have a made in Mexico Strat that I swapped the neck on, and I put a Wenge neck on it, my white one, and I love it. But really, most of the parts on it are not Fender anymore. Only the body, really. Other than that, the whole pickguard assembly, all the electronics, the neck, the tuners, everything is not stock. So now, if you like the way one of those guitars feel, and you like the smaller, like the, you know, the Fender style necks, They're fine. They're fine. Everyone's all up in arms about Fender, like trying to protect a copyright that Germany just granted them, but it's so stupid. In the States, that'll never happen. And they're just making enemies. And I just don't see why they think it's a good idea. Oh, they're higher than a normal guitar. Okay. Yeah, no, I don't know anything about it. I am unaware. I mean, most of the time, I mean, you can just play a Nashville tune guitar because you really want that high E to be an octave higher. Uh, I don't. And then there are some companies that make a 7 string where they double up the G string with an octave G. But I hear an ice cream man. Yeah. Yeah, this ice cream man in my neighborhood always plays Turkey in the Straw. Well, now it's got a beat to it. Oh, it only plays one part of the song. It doesn't go into the second part. It doesn't go into the banana. Imagine Firefly making a nearly identical Corvette and selling them all day for 20 grand. I'm trying to. I don't understand your argument. The Fender dispute was about the body shape. Now, if the body shape were, let's say that was they wanted that shape to be their shape. The shape of the guitar, like even the headstock, like Fender owns that headstock. Oh, Honda. Well, I'll say this. Let's say Honda came out with a Corvette body. I mean, because the Corvette today is not the Corvette that was designed in the 50s, nor is it the Corvette of the 60s, nor is it the Corvette of the 70s. Cars always morph into something new. So it's not like where a Strat is the same shape as 1954 when it came out. But let's say somebody came out with it and they were using it, and then another company came out with it and they were using it, and Corvette did nothing about it. And then 30 years later, Corvette says, that's our shape. They have no argument. They didn't protect the trademark that they thought they had when they had it. And so in the States here, you have to protect your trademark or you lose the trademark. And in this case, it would be really the trade dress because you can't trademark a shape. So you would have what's called the trade dress. Now that's why Fender has the rights to that headstock and Gibson has their headstock, because it's a trade dress. It's the shape that's around the logo. So now you assume it's just like a Coca-Cola bottle. A Coca-Cola bottle, Coke owns that shape, because when you see that shape and the logo across as Coca-Cola, you know that's Coke. So now that bottle has become what's called trade dress. Now, if somebody started making that for years and Coca-Cola knew it and never went after them, they lose the right to it. They don't have a right to it. You have to go after that trademark the second you know about it to protect it. Yeah, the weather's great. You know what I'm saying? Which to me makes it so, and this is my argument, and I've talked to many lawyers about this, but we can't seem to figure out. I can't seem to get an answer, and the lawyers usually sit there and say, I have a point, and they don't know why. But say Fender. Now, Fender has a trade dress on that headstock shape. So what happens is they own that because it's Fender. But the second Fender goes and licenses it, and now companies like Nash who buy and other companies who pay to use it, to me, that muddies the water. That means that no longer is it Fender. Even though they're paying Fender, it's no longer Fender's trade dress. It's public. So I would like somebody to tell me how that's possible. Yeah, Fender's just being an asshole. But like I said, it won't be good for Fender. And I think those are guitars that are just built or sold in Germany, right? Or that's where the law was passed. It's German law. But yeah, good luck. They could never pull that off in the US. And there's so many US companies that make better strats than Fender, you know? Like I said, and Nash is using that logo too. So how is Nash getting away with it? Oh, they pay Fender. Yes, but they're paying for a trade dress, which is because it's in the marketplace only as Fender. The second you sell it, I think you lose it. Well, I have all the guitars I need, so I'm never looking at another guitar. I just don't give a shit. I'd buy an acoustic. Like I've made comments that I'm looking at a Santa Cruz. If I could find the right one that has the extra wide nut width, I would buy it. But as far as I'm concerned, I could care less about what Fender does for the rest of their creation. My guitars are way better than Fender's, and I just don't care. I have lost all of my gear acquisition nonsense. I just don't care. It's a very freeing thing. I just don't give a shit. What Fender does, they just repackage and reissue and re-release the same bullshit every year. It's the same playing instrument. They do the same neck, the same neck shape. Um, and I just find it to be an uninspiring piece of shit. So for me, I just don't care. Well, any guitar will sound good. Let's put it this way. I appreciate the compliment, but let's say you're a bad player. That guitar's not going to make you sound better. You may as well just play something cheap. Or you may as well play something that you enjoy. The whole thing about chasing down gear, it doesn't matter. I've said it before. Larry Carlton back in the day was using that 335 up until like around 80 when he went to the Valley Arts Strat. Why didn't he play a Fender Strat? Because Valley Arts made a better Strat. That's why. I just don't care about the brands, anything anymore. Just don't give two shits. I mean, Slash was playing a knockoff Les Paul for years, and you know, now he plays like whatever. Thanks, Chris. Now he just plays whatever. They give him Fenders now for free, so he doesn't have to pay the ridiculous prices that Gibson wants. Or he plays Gibson for free. But like I said, the problem with Fender is they just keep making the same thing. It's the same C-shaped neck. It's the same neck width. It's the same everything. I just don't care. Yeah, JP's a great player. Yeah, Martin will have zero luck with that. First of all, I think the first Dreadnought that Martin was making was they were making them for a company called Ditson. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the first Dreadnought was a Ditson, Ditson, and Martin was building them for them. They released it not too long ago, when I say that, maybe 20 years ago or a little less than 20 years ago. They released the Ditson again. Martin came out with the Ditson because I think that company was defunct. But again, that shape now is in the, Martin never protected it. Back in the day when Gibson was making it, back in the day when Grammer was making it. I mean, everybody makes a Dreadnought now, and they didn't protect it then, so you can't go back and say, well, that's our trademark. It doesn't work that way. Can you imagine what kind of world we would live in if people were like, oh, I can go back 70 years and stop protecting my trademark? Yeah, right. Oh, see, to me, yeah, electronics are the last thing I care about because I'll change them anyways. They're so insignificant and it costs nothing to change them. A couple of $100. So, I mean, but Fender for years, I mean, they're like, oh, these are the Abigail Ybarra pickups. She's been winding these. So fucking what? So what? You ever listen to a record and be like, oh man, those pickups, that must be Abigail Ybarra's pickups? Yeah, right. It's so ridiculous. But you know, they seize the opportunity to exploit things that the knuckleheads in the on the gear page that like to talk about. Dude, it's not just musicians, it's everything. It's cigars, it's fucking pipe tobacco, it's guns, it's everything. There are knuckleheads out there that just have these opinions that are just so absurd. And it's like, I mean, even if you have these opinions, to sit there and say to somebody, oh, well, if you got to get the Abigail, but you got to pay for her to wind the pickup. Oh, really? I remember I had Jim Tyler once wind me some pickups, some humbuckers for me, and they came out awesome. And I asked him to do it, I was very specific on how to make them. And he was like, yeah, I can do that. And he gave them to me, and we put them in a guitar, and they were great. And I was like, I thought he wound the pickup. He goes, no, I have a 16-year-old girl. Maybe she was 17. But she was a Japanese girl that was working part-time that winds his pickups for him. I should have been like, what? Abigail Ybarra didn't wind these? Fucking A, man. Unbelievable. You go to these, because everyone's trying to go back to the 1950s, like those are you've got to get the 1958 pickups on the Strat were the greatest. Well, those were being made by people that didn't speak any English, that barely knew anything as a trade, was working at Fender down in, what the hell's it, in Fullerton, and didn't know anything. They were trained and then they made it. And then all of a sudden people put like this thing on them like, oh, I remember Fender came out with the Brownie guitar, the Clapton Brownie. And they were asking, I think, 15K for it. And I'm like, all these people are going nuts to get a knockoff of a guitar that if I probably examined the guitar myself, I would see a fucking neck pocket I could slide a credit card through or a stack of cards through. I'm sure it's got more flaws because, like I said, it was handmade. Today, everything's made in a CNC. If you buy a USA standard today, with the precision making, it's going to be the neck pocket's going to be tighter if that mattered, which it doesn't. All these things, they don't matter. Oh yeah, we use a long neck tenon and glue it in because that adds sustain. Oh, is that what adds sustain? Yeah, bullshit. If you've got whatever your scale length and those strings are to tension, that string is ringing the same way. Whatever you got for pickups and where those pickups sit, that's the other thing. Other than that, can the guitar sustain longer with the wood acoustically? Absolutely. Go see AC/DC perform and tell Angus not to plug into his amp and listen to the tone of his guitar. Tell me how much that sustain of the wood matters. It doesn't. But people have sold a whole bill of fucking nonsense. Like I said, if you went to go look at any of these 50 guitars, I played, in fact, when I worked for John Taylor from Duran Duran, at the time I didn't have a Strat. I had 5 Kramer Berettas was my guitar arsenal because all I was playing at the time was hard rock. And I said to John for this gig, I said, "Do you want me to go rent a Strat? I'll go to like SAR and rent some." He's like, "Oh no, I'll drop a Strat off at your house." So the next day, I come back from the gym, and my roommate's like, "John Taylor from Duran Duran just came by." I was like, "Oh, cool. Did he drop something off?" He goes, "He dropped the guitar. It's on your bed. He dropped the guitar if it's on your bed." So I go to my room, and it's a 50 fucking 9, all original, that he just got at Norman's Rare Guitars. And I would say it might have been one of the worst playing Strats I played. Not a great Strat. Didn't play great. I set it up a little bit to make it play better. But if you just looked at the build and everything, like I said, if you looked at a custom shop today, like a 59 reissue out of the custom shop, it's made so much better than what a real 59, how that was made. But, people, because of the collecting value and the bragging rights, people love to buy that shit. Now, for John, as an investment, that was a great buy because I think he paid like 15 grand for it. And today, so when did I play? That was 97, 98. Almost 30 years ago. Is that 30? Yeah. Almost 30 years ago. And I'm sure it's worth over 100 grand today. So it's a great investment. But if you're going to sit there and tell me that's the guitar to play, I'd be like, pass. I'm good. You got a 3-way switch, which I don't love because I like the 4 position. Well, what I call the 4 position, what Fender calls the 2 position. They're wrong about that too. It's the 4. I go left to right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For some reason, Fender wants to read the selector switch like it's the Torah. Yeah. Yeah, if somebody says to me, hey, I'm looking at a made in Mexico guitar, I'd be like, go online and look on Marketplace on Facebook first. You'll find someone selling it used. Buy it used. Gives a shit. Because then anything you complain about, if you want the pickups gone, get rid of them. swap them out. Let's say you buy it on market. In fact, I saw one on Marketplace not too long ago. There was one for 350 and one for 400 bucks. Say you bought it for 400 bucks. Swap the pickups out. Okay, let's say you're now into it for 650. You want to change the saddles maybe? I hate the saddles on that Strat, but if you wanted to change the saddles, you could put on the Graphtex. Whatever you want. If you don't have to. Otherwise, you're into the guitar for under 700 bucks and it'll sound better than 90% of the Fenders out there because you put the pickups in it that you want and the electronics you want. You can change the parts, you can do whatever the fuck you want. I mean, for years, Fender was putting the Texas Specials and everything. I never cared for those pickups. I just don't like them. I don't love them. I don't hate them. I don't love them. So if I got a guitar with Texas Specials in them, I'll tell you what. In fact, I bought a guitar that had Texas Specials, the Made in Mexico that I bought on Craigslist. And I told you, I sold the pickups inside the pick guard and got rid of the pick guard too because I swapped the pick guard out. So if I were to buy any type of Strat, I can tell you right now, those pickups would be on whatever Marketplace, Craigslist, it'd be all over the place getting rid of it. And then you're making that money back. So let's say you wanted to swap those pickups out. You could sell the Fender stock pickups that came in that Mexican. That's minus 100 bucks. You made 100 bucks back. So you paid 400. Now you're 300 into it. And the pickups, the new pickups and pick guard cost you 250, 300. So you're a little under 700 bucks at this point. That's a good deal. It's a great deal. Now, if you wanted to be a little ambitious, you go on Warmoth's site, you buy a better neck with the neck shape you want, with the feel you want, and stainless steel frets, and a bone nut, and you get that. Let's say that cost you another 400. Now you're 1,100 bucks in, and you got a fantastic guitar. Oh yeah, the tone wood, yeah. The guitars that I have, I'm never selling. They're in my collection. And my collection's not that big. I have, the only time I ever bought a guitar and sell it, I will always sell it stock. And, well, unless there's something about it that I don't want. So I had a couple of Strats that I got stainless steel frets on them. I did everything on them, but the neck was too narrow for me. And so I ended up selling them. But for the most part, everything I have now, I love. They're all the right neck shapes, all that. So, Van Dyke Harms, no, never heard of it. Don't know it. Well, you know what tone wood matters on an acoustic guitar. And I always get a kick when I see people selling Koa guitars. Because I think Koa is the worst wood for an acoustic. It just sounds terrible. Every Koa guitar to me sounds thin and tinny. And it's so funny because I always see, like, when people are selling Taylors on Marketplace, it's always a Koa. And they're like, oh, this is a beautiful guitar. I just have my eye on something else. Yeah, something that sounds good because you fucked up and bought that shitty wood just because you think it looks good. Koa is a terrible wood for acoustic guitars. It sounds terrible. But I love that though. It's a gorgeous guitar. Just I'm looking at something else. You're looking at something that doesn't sound like shit. I get it. And then what I love is on exactly. Then I love that what was I gonna say? Oh, I should do these. I should rename this the insomnia thing because that's what I always try to look for too. Is long videos where people just talk. I fall asleep in 5 seconds. I'm with you. bought a beautiful, oh, then I love when people post instruments on Marketplace and they say, is this still available? Will be ignored. Why don't I just ignore your whole post, you douchebag? You gotta have an attitude 2 seconds into posting a fucking guitar for sale. Apparently you never tried to buy anything when you ask somebody a question about it and they're like, it's already sold. Well, then fucking mark it sold, you cunt. But no, now they gotta have, anyone that says, is it still available will be ignored. Go fuck yourself. So now I'm realizing that it's a douchebag selling it. Well, I think mahogany makes a great guitar. I think that rosewood makes a great guitar. Maple, not so much. It depends on the body shape. Like I think, like the Maple J200 is a great sounding guitar. But maple in general on certain guitars, especially the smaller bodies, I don't love. But I like rosewood. And the top, if it's any type of spruce is good. And I think cedar is going to warm it up a little bit if you want a little bit of a warmer sound. Cedar's a darker sound than spruce. So it just depends on the combination. I've never picked up a color guitar that I like the sound of acoustically. But yeah, I mean, the body shape matters somewhat. Again, like I said, like a J200 is a great sounding guitar, and but I got to tell you, they used to make a J300 with rosewood, and that was a better sounding guitar to me. I think they call it the SJ300, and they call the 200 the SJ200 now. I think originally it was the J200, but then it became the SJ200. I have a buddy that calls that size guitar a dolphin. He's like, it's like I'm trying to play a fucking dolphin. I'm holding this awkward fucking. I don't know where his brain is when he comes up with this shit, but he's just out of his mind. I mean, there's a lot of acoustics that are nice, and there's a lot of crap. But I mean, for the most part, if you're gonna play like, if you're gigging a lot with an acoustic, I wouldn't worry about it so much because you're not really hearing the acoustic when you're playing it. Oh, I think Taylor makes great guitars. I think an 816 is an awesome acoustic guitar. I think the 716 is an awesome guitar. Even the 416, it's an awesome guitar. I think that, to me, is the best three sounding Taylors. The 14 with the Auditorium is a nice guitar, and the 10, which is the Dreadnought, is nice. But the 16 to me, I think is special. But yeah, they make great guitars. I mean, would I rather have an 810 or a Collins? I'd rather have a Collins. Would I rather have an 810 or a Santa Cruz? I'd rather have a Santa Cruz. But if I'm gigging with it, I'll take the Taylor. Hey, thanks. Yeah, that's why I decided to do them, was just so I could probably get some views up. My channel's been tanking. I mean, it's going up still. I get more and more subscribers, but I just feel like, I don't know. I'm not in any wonderful algorithm. I don't feel like Google's promoting me the way they should be. Sons of bitches. What could you do? So I decided to do some shorts. Yeah, well, the GS Mini is a great little travel guitar. It's like, if you want to just pick it up and, and play around by yourself. I mean, it's definitely not a guitar you're going to sit around with a couple of friends where everyone has an acoustic in their hand. You're not going to be heard. But they're great for what they are, you know. At the end of all my videos where I do lessons and you hear that acoustic thing that I'm playing at the end, that's played on a Taylor 310. And it's triple tracked. So I got, wait, triple or is it quadruple? No, it's triple. I got the main guitar playing the main thing. And then when the lead comes in, I'm playing the lead on the left and the harmony lead on the right. But it's all the same. It's a 310. It's a Taylor 310 from like 2001, I believe, or 2000. Could be a 2000. He's talking about my video shorts, not my shorts. You love those yellow shorts, Johnny. The ads have gotten out of hand when I watch videos. Completely out of hand. What do you think? Should I light up another one? Or should I call it? You guys tell me. If you're gonna hang around, I'll hang around. Otherwise, I'll zap out of here. It says there's 13 people watching. I think 3 people talking. Light it up. Yeah, I got a guy that comes and does it. All right, hold on. Let me grab another cigar. Or should I grab my pipe? Give me 1 sec. And I'm back. I was gonna say, PRS makes a great guitar. Like as far as fit and finish goes, the quality. I would never play one. They don't do anything for me, but they're great guitars. And if like you pick it up and that makes you feel like you want to play, I would say then they're great. Now I have a PRS Vela. I think it's called a Vela 2 or a something 2. And I got it, I got it in a trade a couple of years ago. And I noodled on it one day, and I keep it in my guitar room because that's what my students use when they come. I just let them use that. I never play it, but it sounds good. It's a decent guitar. I'll be smoking right now. This is the Vintage Natural from Diesel. These are really good for the money. Very Cuban-esque. I would call this a medium smoke, if that. But I figured I had one earlier today. I'll smoke another one. I have a box of them that's not even opened yet, and I still got about 15 in my humidor. Oh, well, thank you very much, Sean. See, I don't watch any music stuff on YouTube, really. I mean, if it comes on my feed, but most of the time I'll watch people reviewing tobacco, which I find hilarious. Because, like I said, all these guys, whether it's cigar smokers or pipe smokers, they suffer from pareidolia. They just, oh, I'm tasting brown sugar and cocoa in this cigar. Oh, really? You're tasting brown sugar and cocoa? Let me tell you something. Never fucking bake me dessert if that's what fucking brown sugar and cocoa tastes like to you. I've been carnivore. I'm going on almost 4 years. I'll be 4 years carnivore in November. It changed my life. I absolutely love it. Never, I'm out of the matrix. I have a greater understanding of things and mental clarity, everything. It's just awesome. It's fantastic. I can't say enough good things about carnivore. I'm right now working on a person who is 3.5 months in on carnivore and hasn't needed a shot since he started. And my goal is to cure him from being a type 2 diabetic by the end of the year. But he hasn't done a shot. He keeps a monitor on him, and we're working together to try to get him. I was taking thyroid medication, which I stopped. But I stopped that before carnivore. I stopped that when I started just dieting. And I was prescribed high blood pressure medicine, so after I had stopped, and about a year into carnivore, I went to the doctor and I got my numbers, and he was like, "All your numbers are perfect. The medications are working." I'm like, "Well, I haven't taken them in a year and a half, so see ya." That was that. I've been off of everything since. But yeah, it's great. It's absolutely great. Like I said, I've helped a few people so far with getting on it and getting off medications. This one's going to be a big one if I can get this guy completely off of. Well, he will be. If he's doing it and he's sticking to it, he will have lost his type 2 diabetes. And they'll tell you you can't cure it. That's bullshit. I'm out of the matrix. Everything we're told is nonsense. So, what can I say? I love it. And you know why I call it the matrix is because I could tell you all the benefits. You don't fully understand it until you do it, until you take the red pill and you go down the rabbit hole. And my brother will attest to that, because my brother was like, I would tell him, he was like, "I understand what you're saying." And then once he did it, he was like, "No, it's not about, you don't understand until you do it. Once you see it and once you live it, then you're like, oh, you just know that it's right." And as the guy who I'm helping with, he says, "How could anybody not do this? The food's awesome." I mean, I probably eat like 5 steaks a week. I'm eating tons of eggs. I love it. When you started it, now you have your other channel and only has one video. Yeah, probably at some point. I just haven't had much time. I'll tell you what changes a lot with carnivore is your disposition. I'm such a happier guy. Like, I got things going on here. Obviously, my mom's losing it a little bit, and that's hard to see, especially when I watch my dad pass. But I can say I'm happy. Like, I love life, love what I do every day. It's awesome. It's great. Carnivore isn't even the big surprise when people talk to me about it. They're more surprised that I don't drink. And I'm like, yeah, I just doesn't do anything for me. Not my thing. Don't care. Just, I could give a shit. And when you play a lot of gigs, especially as I have my whole life, you're out in the bars playing, you see people and how they act, and you're just like, I'm good. Get the hell away from me. No, they're terrible. Terrible, Johnny. But yeah, so yeah, I had high blood pressure before it, and not since. Yeah, high blood pressure is caused more from sugar than it is from salt. What they tell you is, they'll sit there and tell you, oh, it's salt's the problem, salt's the problem. Go have a heart attack and watch what they come and put in your body. They're going to give you an IV of fucking saline, of pure salt. So how does that make sense? Salt is not the enemy. Salt is an essential mineral that you need. Sugar is not. Sugar is your problem. Yeah, no, I just not for me. Not my thing. I haven't seen him. I haven't seen Jerry in a while, and I imagine now that the weather's going to get better, he'll start swinging by because he used to swing by at night when I smoked outside here on the driveway. When it's like 75, he'll come out and hang out. But I haven't seen him in a while because it's been cold at night. Oh yeah. But you can drink if you're on carnivore. If you drank like, I wouldn't drink a lot if you're a drinker, but I would say anything that's hard liquor is sugar alcohol, and that's really not going to have the same. Hey, thanks a lot, Charlie. Yeah. See, I'm the opposite. The more I do carnivore, the more I love meat. And like I said, I at BJ's, man, they had these fillets this week, and these are the best fillets I've had from any supermarket ever. They're just so good. So good. Yeah, I'm trying to do more shorts. But yeah. Yeah, this is a good cigar. If you don't like strong cigars, I would highly recommend this cigar, the Diesel Vintage Natural. If you like strong cigars, you can eat tuna fish. I don't like canned tuna fish. I just hate the taste. But I love fresh tuna, like you know yellowfin or blue or yeah, right. I like tuna, but I don't like it canned. I missed the last question. Opus X. Yeah, Opus X are okay. I just think they're too expensive for what they are. My favorite cut, I had a cap, ribeye cap, 2 weeks ago on Mother's Day. We took my mom out, and I had a ribeye cap at a place called Abe and Louie's in Boston. That might be my favorite cut. That was unbelievable. Because it's more fatty than a fillet. With the fillet that I'm having here, I'm eating 6 eggs with it, a pound of bacon, and not a pound, but close. And I'm eating like probably half a stick of butter on the steak because I try to get as much fat as I can. A lot of people think it's a high protein diet. I'm more into the fat. Oh, where'd you go in Vegas? What restaurant did you go to? Did you go to Cut? I like Cut a lot. Oscars at Plaza. Oh, okay. I haven't been there. Well, I tell you, my doctor's an imbecile, and they don't know anything. And so we argued when I first started it. He was like, "Oh, this is wrong," and blah blah blah. Meanwhile, this guy's a fat bitch who who should, and basically I asked him a bunch of questions, and he was like, "Well, maybe you're right then." I'm like, "All right, go piss up a rope." They're not taught anything about nutrition. I don't know Steve from Boston. I remember him kind of when he used to work at this place, a guitar shop that was a couple of towns over. Well, no, next town over in the '80s. I think I remember him there because he was like the only non. There was two brothers that owned this music store, and then he worked there. And I remember the other guy, but I don't know him. He lives the next town over from me. We're oh yeah, well doctors don't know anything. I mean, they know how to prescribe medication. They don't look into the cause. They don't know anything. I get a kick out of people that ask what my doctor thinks because here's a question for you. Since these doctors have gotten so into people's lives, are people getting sicker or healthier? They're getting sicker. So clearly they don't know what the fuck they're doing. In 1920, a cardiologist was a broke doctor. Today, they're the richest doctors. Figure it out. You'll get out of the matrix soon enough. Whatever your doctor, I would say this to anybody, whatever your doctor's saying, do the opposite. These guys are morons. Google doesn't like what I'm saying. I don't give a shit. I'm not a doctor. I don't care. Hi, Dave. What would you say was the most important thing to learn on guitar? I feel I'm stuck. I've been focusing. I tried, but just don't seem to go. Um, Play songs. Get out there and learn as many songs as you can. I don't think any farmer is okay. What small farmer? The guy in my gym saying, "Hey, do you want some test?" Exactly. I would say play as much music as you can. Just expose yourself to music. You know, when I first started, when I was in high school, I used to come home every day and I would put on Judas Priest Unleashed in the East and I would learn all the parts, play the solos, play the songs. By the time I was like a senior in high school, I had stumbled upon Toto and Steely Dan. And then I was like, okay, now I got to learn all this shit. So that's what I would do. I would just learn as much as you can. And the actual playing is really what's going to do it. You know, sitting there and learning techniques and stuff is good, but it's only good after you've already have a good foundation of knowing songs. You know, like, you know, things I try to tell people to practice is play over major seven chords. And then I give them direction on how I would play over those chords and not play in the key that major seven sits on the one as, because I don't like that. And show them why. But that's getting deeper into it. But once you got to really have a foundation of understanding the song structures and chords. Oh, 100%, 100%. You don't see obese people like you do. You go look back in the 1930s and 40s, and look at I'll tell you what I've been watching a lot of is I watch a lot of Battle of the Network Stars, and I see Fred Rerun Berry, and Fred Berry isn't as fat as I remember him. He's running, he's moving. I'm like, this guy's just chubby. When I was a kid, I thought he was obese. Now you look at a guy who's fat today and you're like, this guy could have been in the circus 50 years ago. Here comes Turkey in the Straw again. It bothers me that it doesn't go into the bridge. How can it not go into the bridge? It's the best part. Thank you. Well, I've told you I lived the Forrest Gump life. I had a buddy of mine back in 97, 98 come out to LA and he wanted to be a comedian. And he had notebooks and notebooks of just his writings. And I'm like, dude, you just got to go to do an open mic. He's like, I said, I'll go with you. I'll go do it. So I went and did open mic at the Comedy Store on Sunset Strip. It was great. And they loved me, and they invited me back to come on a Saturday in the small room, which I did. And then I went back one more Sunday with him. And it was funny because they came up to me and they said, listen, after you, will you announce Dice wants to come up and do some stuff? So then Dice came up after me. So I always tell people, well, I got to open for Dice. And Dice was funny because he came, you know, Sunday nights at the Comedy Store, it's like open mic. So if it's new comedians trying out stuff, but it's actually real comedians that bring their notebooks up and try out jokes to see how it goes. And I remember Dice had his notebook out he had it on a stool, and he's looking down, and then he's like, where do they put missing midgets on the back of a quart of half and half? I'll never forget that joke. Yeah, I try to do everything by ear. So, eventually I'm going to do a live show with my friend Bob. Now, Bob lives in Seattle. Bob and I went to day camp together when we were youngins. And he had an older brother and an older sister. He's like what you would call, I guess, a change of life baby, right? His brother was like maybe 8 or 10 years older than he was, and his sister. Those guys were like, his siblings were like 2 years apart, and then 10 years later, he's born. And the brother left a guitar behind at the house. And so right around the time I started playing guitar, he was picking up his brother's guitar. And I would go to my teacher, and he would teach me songs, and I'll never forget this. And I'll bring it up with Bob when I have him on my show. But Bob basically, I said to him, I just learned Eye of the Tiger, so that'll tell you what year it was. And so I played it for Bob, and Bob goes, yeah, that chord's wrong. I was playing it like C minor, C minor, B flat, C minor, C minor, B flat, C minor, C minor, B flat, A flat. And Bob's like, that last B flat is actually a G. And so then Bob played it, and he was right. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. That does sound like more like it. And I'm like, how do you do that? And he's like, I don't have anyone teaching me, dude. I'm just learning everything by ear. And I was like, this was probably towards the end of because I took lessons for 9 months. So this is like 82. And I said to my teacher, this is going to be my last lesson. And after that, I was glued to just trying to figure out songs. And I remember the first one that I really focused on was Love Her All I Can by Kiss. I was like, and when I figured that out and that riff out, bam, 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 and then the fifth, bam, dun, 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 the ace parts, I was like, oh, I can do this. And I remember like months later, me and Bob getting together and playing, and Bob was like, wow, you got really good. And I was like, really? I feel like we were always right around the same. But I'm like, but I'm learning because of you. I'm learning. I'm focusing on listening and hearing it. And then I would say you just got to keep listening. And it was every song. Like if I hear a song, I'm running to the guitar to figure out how it goes. And then now it's to the point where if I hear a song, I could tell you how to play it and not even pick up the instrument. I can hear it. But it's to the point of like, but there'll be times when I'll hear a song and I'm like, what the fuck was that change? That sounds like, and I'll get it pretty fucking close, but maybe not perfect, because I feel like a lot of ear has to do with what you hear over and over again. It's just kind of like language, you know what I mean? You hear the same phrase over and over again, you're gonna know what it is. I was teaching an Allman Brothers song last week, and we were doing, he wanted me to teach him the harmony section. You guys will know the song better than it goes. What the hell's the name of that song? Oh, it's called You Don't Love Me Anymore? You Don't Love Me? No, not You Don't Love Me. What the hell's the name of that song? It's the one it's on the Allman Brothers first album, and it goes into the other song in B. What the hell's the name of that song? Don't love me anymore. You don't love me is the one that's from like the original Super Sessions, right? Bow down, bow, bow, down, bow, down, down. So it's not that one. But it's the one that goes, hey, Lenny, nice to see you. What the hell's the name? Any Allman Brothers fans in this chat? It's on the first album. It goes, it's in C minor. It's got that riff. Don't want you no more. Thank you. Thank you. The end harmony on Don't Want You No More. And I was like, it had me stumped for the longest time, because the way they mix it, like they're riding volumes, and you can hear Dwayne's guitar kind of goes loud and then soft. And so I'm like, what? But I finally figured out that harmony. And then I went and looked up how other people play it. And I'm like, no, I'm right there, completely wrong. Completely wrong. And I always thought about teaching that ending on YouTube, maybe in a short. Maybe I will. Not My Cross to Bear. Thank you. That's the one that's in B. Absolutely. That's it. Yeah. But that N harmony was a bitch because no one teaches it right online. And the line is it's very hard to hear. I had to crank my speakers and I'm like, all right, I can. And finally, once it's like hard to hear that second guitar in the background because they're playing like a lot of it in fourths. But that was a moment where I was like, I nailed that. That's a hard one to hear. But yeah, so that's how you train your ear is just by doing. Just train it. You know, uh, yeah, exactly. Well, that's the funny thing is I'm not a huge Allman Brothers fan. I like, Ain't Wasting Time No More. I like Crazy Love. I like the hits, but I don't know all the deep cuts. And so like that one, Hotlanta, I can't remember. I can't separate them apart in my head when I think Hotlanta's in A minor, right? Is Hotlanta the one that goes bow, ba da ba 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 bow, ba da 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 da? Is that Hotlanta? Ba na 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 na. Ga da ga 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 da ga. If it is, I'm shocked that I got it. Because if you say a name of any of these songs, I'm always like, which one is that one again? If you sang me the melody, I'd be like, oh, I know it. But yeah, I like One Way Out. Ain't but One Way Out. I like that song. I don't love it. I don't love that song, but I like it. I do like Don't Want You No More, and I do like Not My Cross to Bear, or Cross to Bear, whatever the hell the song's called. There's some nice harmonies in that as well. I like the Allman Brothers. It's a challenge to teach the harmonies or to figure them out because they're constantly changing the harmony. Like whereas if I'm sitting there learning an Iron Maiden song and you got to learn like "Hallowed Be Thy Name," once you got the ba da 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 da, well then the other guy's playing the perfect diatonic third. Ba na 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 da 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 da. Not with Allman Brothers. Come and Go Blues we went over a couple of weeks ago. That's a nice one. Yeah. Come and Go Blue. I'm trying to think of how it starts. I know it's got that descending G7. Uh, well, da, da, da. But then the part when it goes I forget that harmony. There's a cool harmony in Come and Go Blues too because one guy's harmony plays playing the major and the other one's playing the minor, but they do it on off, where he's playing like a G minor blues on one guitar and the other guy's playing a G major, but where they hit the minor and the majors are on the harmony. It's just really cool. They do that, and also they do it in what the hell's that song? Rambling Man. But let me try to think of how does Come and Go Blues start? Wait, let me just think of the song. Uh, da, da, uh, ba-da, da-da-da-ga-da, bang, ba-da-ba-ga-da, this part. Bam, 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 boo-da-boo-doo-boo. Bam, 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 bam. So one guy's playing the minor. He's going like F, 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 G, B flat, G, F, D, and the other guy's going A, B, D, B, A, G. So he's playing major, the other guy's playing minor. It's very cool. A cigar show in Rhode Island? What was the cigar show? Oh no, why did I say we were gonna? Me and Krell were gonna do it. I think at the Leslie. Yeah, I don't think they used the Leslie at the Fillmore East though. They were playing. I think weren't they playing Twins back then? Thanks, Gold Roses. Actually, that yellow, I believe Fender calls that yellow graffiti yellow, except on the International Series, it's called Monaco yellow. I believe. But it's pretty bright yellow. It's as yellow as this Superman shirt. Distilled water's fine, but you're better off drinking like spring water. Anything that has minerals in it, I think, is better for you. Mineral water would be better. Yeah. Well, I think he used a Leslie on his B3 organ, right? Because that's it came with those Leslies. But the guitars, I believe, were playing the Twins. Les Paul's into a twin back then. That's what it sounds like to me when I hear Fillmore. Sounds like a Les Paul decked into a twin. Yeah, but I like that come and go blues, that bam, 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 and then it goes up and does it in B flat. Bam, 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 and then do 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 do. Right? That's we've gone over that a few times. That's a good one. I still hear that friggin' ice cream man. I don't know if you guys can, but how many people here would have known that song is called Turkey in the Straw? Anybody? I had to record it for a film called Bigger, Stronger, Faster. My buddy was directing the film. It was an HBO film. Well, it's on HBO. I think it's still on. My buddy was directing it, and he called me up and he was like, he couldn't get the rights to Turkey in the Straw, the Flatt and Scruggs version. Could I do a sound alike? So I said, sure. So I called up a musician by the name of Gabe Witcher. Now, Gabe is the fiddle player in a bluegrass band called the Punch Brothers. Gabe is an awesome musician. Awesome. And I had recorded earlier that day with Howie Simon and Ray Luzier. This was down at Conway Studios in Los Angeles. And we recorded a track with those two guys. Then Ray left and Howie wanted to hang out with me for to watch the bluegrass guy. I said, yeah, let me and Howie hang all the time anyway. Smoke cigars, hangs, good dude. One of my dear friends. I love Howie. And he's a smoking fucking guitar player. So, I call Gabe, and Gabe reaches back to me and he says, hey, listen, everybody I know is out of town. Will you pay me everyone's fee if I do all the parts? And I'm at this point, I'm like, I need to get the thing done. I said, yeah. So Gabe comes down. He lays down like an acoustic scratch, plays bass, plays acoustic, plays fiddle, plays mandolin. And I'm telling you, he's doing this like run it down, one after the other, everything in one take, all his solos, everything in one fucking take. And Howie and I are just looking at each other going, what the fuck is wrong with this dude? He's unbelievable. This kid was oh, and then he played the fiddle, and then he played a harmony fiddle on it. And then he says to me, so the guy that's going to play banjo, you're going to email him the track, and he'll email you the banjo track. And his name was a guy named Dennis Kaplinger. So we emailed Dennis. We finished the track with Gabe. Gabe leaves. We do a rough mix. We send the rough mix down to Dennis. Dennis sends us a track of the banjo. Well, this is all in the course of, we sent it at night. The next morning, I called my engineer and I said, hey, did you ever hear back from Dennis? He's like, dude, I got the thing mixed already with Dennis's track. This fucking guy's unbelievable too. It's like, you gotta hear. And so we mixed, I just listened to the mix. I agreed with the mix. I'm like, sounds fucking great. We sent it into the production, to the team at was making the film. They gave me the thumbs up and said, awesome, and we were off. There's a scene in the movie where my buddy goes to like Home Depot just to show you how easy it is to make supplements, and gets like 3 Mexican guys there, and they're making supplements in this guy's kitchen. And they're playing Turkey in the Straw while they're doing this. And that's the scene it was used in. But I'll never forget, this guy was just unbelievable. Bang, each track, banging it out. Like to the point where like you're listening to him play like the mandolin parts, and you're like, okay. Like as each thing added to it, you could start to finally hear the song come together. And I'm like, this guy had this all in his head? Like, what? The solos, every solo on each instrument, I was just like, what the fuck? Me and Howie were pissing ourselves. We were just like, Howie's like, dude, I hate this fucking guy. This guy's going to take work away from, we were both just amazed at how good he was. But, and if you guys know the band, the Punch Brothers, you would know, because they are awesome. I don't know Gabe's situation. No, I don't know what Jackson's doing either. I'm out of that neighborhood, of that area, so wouldn't run into him. But the thing with how I met Gabe was, we used to do sessions with his brother Mike. His brother is an unbelievable dobro player, and we used him like 2 years prior. And he did a bunch of live shows with us. And then one day he was like, oh yeah, if you ever need me or my brother, here's, and gave me all the info. And so then we contacted Gabe and got Gabe. And I forget how we got Mike. I was playing with somebody, and they say, if you ever need a dobro player, this kid I know is unbelievable. He was like 17 or 18. I'm like, give me his number. And that's how we got with Mike. And then through Mike, we got Gabe. Yeah, just unbelievable. I see like Jay Graydon does a lot of videos now. And he talks about sessions, and I watched one of them, and I'm like, yeah, he's damn right about it. Most of the time, it's not like it's not a joyful. You're just there to do something that is just basic because you have the groove and the timing, and you can do it. And that's, why you work. And when I started working out there doing sessions, it was just word of mouth, because I was working for one guy, and then another guy would come in, and this guy would be like, hey, can you do this? And can I bring you to my studio? Yeah. And so that kind of took off from there. Yeah, the Picaros were great. Incredible. They had a family of bluegrass monsters. And Gabe wasn't just a bluegrass guy. We had him come into to a session one time with us where we needed like what sounded like it was a song, and in the breaks in the song, I had this idea that I wanted like a 4-part, almost like a string quartet kind of thing, where it sounded like classical music but wasn't, but it was his own thing. And I really didn't have anything written out for it, just the idea. And Gabe came in and he was like, oh, he as soon as I told him what I wanted in the section, he was like, I totally get it. So he sat down with a piece of paper and listened to the song like 3 or 4 times while he's charting these parts out. And then again, one take each time over each part, and played all 4 parts, and was just insanely good. And it sounded like it was a classical thing, but it was just what he just did on the top there. Are you joking about Steve Carnelli? I knew Steve very well. Steve used to love his SGs. I think he had a collection of 61 SGs, the 61 reissues. I'm trying to think of the guy Steve used to work for. They used to do all the award shows and everything. How do you know Steve Carnelli? Oh, you did? Yeah. I'm trying to think of the guy's name that Steve used to play for. He was like a conductor that used to run an orchestra, and Steve used to play in his band. And they would do like all the award shows and everything. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he used to play those SGs. He bought maybe, I want to say, 4 SGs from me. Me and Steve had words at one point because I was giving Steve, like, I liked Steve. And so I was giving him smoking fucking deals. Like, stupid, stupid deals. And I remember one time he came in and I said to him, Steve, I have a custom shop Strat. It's not priced like a custom shop. It's called the Custom Classic. This is back when Fender was making custom classics. I said to him, but this one could be the best playing Strat out of the box I ever played. Steve played it and he's like, this is the best playing Strat ever. What can you do for me? And I tell him, I go, but I'm not holding it because your price is stupid and this is going to sell in 5 minutes. So if you don't want it, so he's like, I'll think about it, which is usually his way of saying he was going to pass. I think like a day later, I came in and paid full pop for it. So I didn't care. Steve came in 2 days later saying he wants it. I said, it's gone. Which he wasn't so upset, but he was like, are you kidding? He was more mad at himself. But what happened was he ordered a bunch of SGs from me, and then like one of them he rejected. He was like, and I said, well, that's Gibson. That's how it came. And he was just like, it didn't play as good. And I was like, well, you could set it, they're all to me the same. You could just set up anything the way you play. But he didn't like it. I said, okay. So we got him another one. And then he wanted to argue with me about the price. Now, you have to understand, I'm giving him an unbelievable price. we get into a heated argument about it because he starts giving me attitude, and I'm, if you don't know me in person, don't give me attitude. I am not going to hear. I'm not going to listen to it. So I end up saying, "Get the hell out of here." 2 days later, I believe my buddy Travis calls me from Guitar Center, who worked at Guitar Center. He was killing it over there in West LA. And he's like, "I got this guy here," and he says, "You told him you could get him this guitar for this price." I said, "That's the price I quoted him." He goes, "Are you out of your fucking mind?" I said, "I know I give him a great price. He doesn't understand I'm giving him the price. If I wanted to buy it, that's what I would pay." He goes, "I can't do that." I said, "I know." So he was like, so then he's like, I'm not even close. So he told Steve what he could sell it for, the cheapest he could sell it to him for. And then Steve came back to me and was like, super apologetic. He goes, "I didn't realize you were giving me this big a deal as you were." We were friends after that as well. I mean, we just had that one argument because he didn't realize, he thought I was doing I'm not making a dime. Really, I wasn't. It was really, it was the lowest that I was able to sell it without my boss signing off on it, the owner of the company, and he wouldn't do it. He just wouldn't do it. So, and I got flack for it. Like, people would be like, "Why are you," the owner said to me, "Why are you selling it to him at a price that you would have to get authorized to sell it to you, to sell it to?" And I said, "Listen, this is who he plays for. He's bought a lot of guitars. He's a good guy. I like him, blah, blah, blah." My boss was like, "Okay, all right." So, yeah, so then Steve came back and he bought a few more guitars from me. And he was always a good guy after that. But we did have that one where he was questioning my price that I was giving him, which I thought was crazy because it literally, he was getting a great, he bought like 4 or 5 off me at the end of the day. So I wish I could remember the guys maybe worked for. But Steve was a good dude. We always got it. We always had laughs after, and he was a good dude. I liked him, but I was definitely not one for somebody trying to bust my nuts on something. You know what I mean? Because there's some people that come in and they're just trying to get it low, and it's like, nah, because I could sell this tomorrow. It's going to sell in the next few days, so I don't care. But where I'm really taking care of somebody and they treat me like I'm not taking care of you, well, then I have a problem because I'm like, "Listen, you have no idea what I'm doing here, but I'm taking care of you." So, but yeah. And I think even after I left, I think Bingham sold him a few other things too. Bingham knew him well. But I think even at that time, the price had gone up, or Bingham wouldn't sell it at the price that I was selling it at. And, but yeah. Because when you go to Guitar Center to buy something, they have, whatever they pay the company, they also have an add-on price that goes on top of the instrument, on top of the cost, that I think goes to shareholders. Don't quote me on that because I don't want to get sued, but I'm just saying. They have some kind of markup there, so even when they sell it to you at like 10 up cost, it's 10 up an inflated cost. Oh, he did? Yeah. Yeah, he had been around. Like I said, he loved those 61 SG reissues. I think it was a custom shop one, not the regular 61 reissue, but the 61 custom shop. Yeah, I haven't heard that name. Now it's been about 15 years, 20 years almost, 15, 16. Richard something. I'm going to get the guy's name he worked with. But I remember they were playing the Hollywood Bowl at one point. They were playing at like this, wherever the award show was at. I forget the name of that. I want to say the Spire, but that's in Plymouth. What the hell's the name of this place out there? We had a lot of dudes come in that were like session guys that did a lot of that stuff. Oh my God, that's funny. That is funny. What was Steve playing back then? What kind of guitar? Oh yeah. We used to have Marcus Miller used to come in quite a bit. Um, just a lot of great players. Greg Bissonette. A Hagstrom 12 string, really. There was a session guy that used to come in. I forget his last name, Tim something. Super nice guy. Showed me a few things on the guitar at one point. Anytime I see somebody trying a guitar and they play a lick that I want to, I'm like, wait a second, what the hell did you do there? There was a guy too that used to come in and he was like, he brought his guitar in he was going to try to buy a 56 reissue from the custom shop. And he brought his 56 in. His 56 looked like that Rory Gallagher. He had less paint on it than the Rory Gallagher. That thing looks like it had been played every day since 1956. I miss that. Oh, that's great. That's great. But yeah, this guy brought in a 56 and I played it. It was nice. And he said, of course it's nice. Look at the wear on it. He's like, if you go to Norm's and you see a 56 that's not played, it probably didn't play that well to begin with. That's probably why nobody ever played it. That's why it doesn't look like it was played. Phil Upchurch used to come in. He's another session guy. Yeah, it was a fun little shop. Jackson would come in, Jackson Brown. I asked Jackson about the tone he got on the song The Boulevard, and he told me that he was playing a Strat and that he had a guy wire it up, and he fucked up the wiring and all three pickups were always on. And that was the tone. That's why on my yellow Strat, I have that little switch that turns the neck pickup on so I can have the bridge and neck on or all three on. Just so I can try that. Lenny? No. Lenny McDaniel? Nope. You're out in Massapequa. You ever go to Humberto's in New Hyde Park? I hear they have a good pizza at Humberto's. My singer, when I played in the Big Angry, he was from Massapequa. Yeah. A lot of hype. I don't eat pizza anymore, but I was just curious because these guys in my band would always talk about Humberto's. Cabela's in Massapequa. Cold Roses, how old a guy are you? So you're like my age, a year older than me. Did you know any Tarosky's in Massapequa? GF's? Oh, I see. Island Tree, class of 85. Yeah, I was class of 86. Oh, oh, Sean, you're class of 85, huh? Where did Steve Carnelli grow up? What part of town was that? Because if I remember, he didn't live too close to the store. Not like some people were. Oh, he grew up in New York? What are you guys are Massapequa guys, huh? Long Island. Oh, it got warm. Alexa, what's the temperature right now?
It's currently 74 degrees in Canton.
74. Oh, you're in South Carolina now? Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to remember where he lived because I remember talking to him on the phone a few times when something came in, and he'd be like, "Well, I can make it out there." He couldn't make it out the day I talked to him. And I remember it was like a drive for him, and he would have to. Just can't remember where he lived in L.A. I don't know if he was in the Valley or if he was down in South Bay. Trying to remember. I'm trying to rack my brain and remember. I think he was like, for some reason, I keep remember. I think South Bay, but maybe not all the way down there. I don't know. So the last time I probably spoke to him might have been like 2010, so 16 years ago. And he was playing for that guy, still working with that orchestra. Now I would have no idea. He may have retired. I don't know. When you say you were young, how old are you? Because I don't think he was much. I mean, maybe he was 10 years older than me. If not, he looked good for his age. But I didn't think he was more than 10 years older than me. But if you're saying he played on the Flintstones, how old do you think he is? How much older than you do you think he is? If he played in the Flintstones, that would have to be during I would imagine, the 80s. He was not that old of a guy. Oh, okay, 74? And what year is it right now? 26. So this was 20 years ago when I first met him. So I would say, so he was 54. Yeah, all right. I would have said he was like 50. I was 38 at that point when I met him. So yeah, he would have been 54. All right. Yeah, like I said, I probably thought he was 10 years old. So I probably thought he was like 48, just shy of 50. So he looked good for his age. I mean, he didn't have any gray or anything. He looked good for 54. Richard something was the guy that was because he used to come in too. I've been doing deep dives lately into prog rock stuff. And God, I wish I had done that 20 years ago. I would have liked to have talked because Keith Emerson I used to see a lot. I would have talked to him about a bunch of stuff he played on. He was effing great. He was my neighbor, lived in the building next to me, building next to my building. What else, guys? 2 hours and 15 minutes. See, normally I'd be smoking my cigar over there and playing poker online. You guys hear that bee? It's how loud that thing is. He was great too. He's a drummer that I think should be in more conversations on how good he was. Carl Palmer was awesome. I'll tell you, you know what's an album that I think is underrated that people don't talk about anymore was Asia's first album. Man, Steve Howe's playing on that record is effing great. And his tone was still good on that record. His tone stinks on the early Yes stuff. I can't stand his tone of his guitar back then. But like from Drama on, he had great tone. Hey, Elroy, what's going on? This bee that's flying around me is the of a house. Oh, nice. Yeah, Carl's awesome. I saw this clip where Joe Rogan was talking to one of the Weinstein brothers. I forget which one it was. And they were talking about Van Halen. And Weinstein brings up Alan Holdsworth. And Joe Rogan's like, has no idea who the hell he is. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? No, I haven't checked it out. I haven't checked it out yet. Aha, absolutely. Boris, you have a yellow streak that goes down your back. No, it goes across. It goes across. My mother, ladies and gentlemen. Shall we say pistols at dawn? We can say it. I have no idea what the hell it means, but we'll say it. Love it. Yeah, I think he's all right. He puts on a good show, but I was just shocked that he didn't know who Alan Holdsworth was. Oh, he does? Because they were talking about guitar players and Hendrix and Hendrix gets a lot of praise because he like got a lot of people to number one play the Strat, and he influenced a lot of people. But I don't think he was the biggest influence as Jimmy Page was to guitar players. That's just me. In fact, if you have the importance of players, I put Jimmy Page higher up. I think Led Zeppelin rattled the music world, shook it up, and I think Van Halen did too. When the first six albums. But I also think like there was important stuff like like Ingve, I think is an important guitar player. To guitar players, not so much to everybody. To me, like kind of like Hendrix. You know what I mean? When Ingve came out, every guitar player was like, "What the fuck?" And that's what I think people were like when Hendrix came out. But to me, Jimmy Page inspired people to play. The musicality, I would say, is far beyond. I mean, if I think about the impact that Zeppelin 2 had versus any of the Hendrix albums, I would say Zeppelin 2 way more. Way more. Way more impactful. Way more just what the fuck. Hey, later, man. Len, I'll remember that. I just think Page just was, I don't know, for me, it's more important. I always just think about like when I was a kid, what drove me to pick up a guitar and what was I, you know, like Heartbreaker, Livin' Lovin' Maid, Communication Breakdown off the first album. Just like, it was like a fucking lead weight hit me in the head. It's like, boom, what the fuck is this? I also saw an interview with David Lee Roth where they were asking him about, I think, the line going up and down the stocking, and he goes, "Oh, we ain't talking about love." I'm like, are you a fucking imbecile? Do you even know your catalog, you fucking shithead? Yeah. I think Zeppelin 2 defined the 70s. Came out late 69, but basically defined the direction of the 70s, where Van Halen definitely defined the direction of the 80s. You got these guitar players like Vito Bratta and George Lynch that came out of I would call it the dust of Van Halen, and to me, they're irrelevant. People talk about Vito Bratta, and I'm like, White Lion was terrible. I'm sorry. I couldn't listen to that. Awful. He was a lot like Van Halen, but did his own thing. Wonderful. Who cares? The songs stink. Yeah, the 14-year-old. Was she 15? Oh, 14, right? Oh, I think I lost my connection for a second there. All right, folks. We're calling it a day. Want to thank everybody for hanging out with me on this Memorial Day. Everybody have a great holiday. Get back to work tomorrow. Do your thing. I don't know if I'm posting any more shorts. I don't have anything planned, but I'm sure I will this week. And then I got to do another lesson soon. I might do a lesson or two. We'll figure it out. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Sean. Thanks, the Metal Archies. Yeah, it's just not my. I mean, I think a lot of the hair bands to me are just garbage. That's just me. I just don't care about it. It is a part of the 80s that I'm glad we won't be revisiting. Yeah, I just didn't care for a lot of that stuff. And there was some great music in the 80s and some great metal. That wasn't one of them, for me anyway. All right, everybody. Enough of my opinions. You can all tell me to piss up a rope. It's all good. Anyways, everyone have a great day, and thanks so much for hanging out with me. Very good.